Hey guys, this is the Go Grow team here, Miss Lee and Mr. Creasy and Miss Harrison, and we're here to talk to you about chess. And y'all, if you have any questions while I'm talking, please ask. This is kind of like a conference call that the children get to sit in on with some pictures. Who likes pictures?
I do.
Me. Pictures are the best. Okay, so believe it or not, chess began in India. Yes, we are in Europe now, but we were previously in India. Namaste. And in India, they were trying to solve problems without violence. So they developed a way, and that was chess. So kings and queens would get together, and they would play this game to solve conflicts nonviolently. Here's a picture of warfare during the Middle Ages in India and in the Middle Eastern region. As you can see, there are elephants. Now, we wouldn't think of elephants as a part of Middle Eastern battle, but of medieval battle, but in the medieval Middle East, they did use elephants. And that's important to know, because you can see chess was called chaturanga or chaturang. I've seen it both ways. And their pieces had elephants. Whereas chess, the more modernized, Americanized, westernized version, westernized, thank you, I've got the nodding approvals of my co-teachers, used a bishop rather than the elephant, as you can see here from my little mouse kind of showing you the difference. Here are the more westernized pieces. You have a rook, also sometimes called a castle, and that can be frowned upon sometimes. So if you want to make sure you're correct, say a rook. We've got a king, a pawn, a bishop, a queen, and a knight. When you begin the game of chess, you will take two pawns, a black pawn and a white pawn, or a light-colored pawn and a dark-colored pawn, one in each hand. You'll put them behind your back and you'll shuffle through them. And then the opposite team member will pick an arm, and that will be the piece that they will be. According to chess rules, the lighter-colored piece starts first, but you can amend those however you choose, if you choose, based on your teacher. Let's start with the rook, also known as the castle, but I wouldn't call it that, but some people do call it that, so don't be confused. Say rook. Everybody say rook.
Rook.
And the rook was the main line of defense for a castle, for the king and queen. The castle walls were the first part of the defense system in medieval Dark Age times. But that was before the catapult was invented, because the catapult would shoot fire over the walls and cause problems. And that's why they also had arrows, because the arrows, you could launch them up into the air and enter the arena of the castle walls. But initially, those walls were the first line of defense for the king and queen, and it was important that they're strong and sturdy. Now, thinking about chess, the first place that you will situate the rooks is on the outer edges. So you'll see, you'll set up the rooks in A8, H8, what is this? AI and HI. Or 1, that's a 1. Sorry, I'll get it right. You guys know what I mean. Praise God. Okay. Now here are the castle walls. Like I said, the first means of defense. You want to have some strong, sturdy walls, not these crumbling walls. So you got to make sure you're sharp. And you will move in a T shape. So remember this, the rook moves in the T shape. I'm going to give you letters for each different piece and how they move. So the rook moves how, y'all? In a
T shape.
That's right. Rook moves how? In a
T shape.
Rook moves in a
T shape.
That's right. Then you have your knight. which moves in an L shape. We can just kind of say that now, and I'll reiterate it later. The knight moves in the,
L shape.
the rook moves in the,
T shape.
the knight moves in the,
L shape.
knight moves in the,
L shape.
rook moves in the.
T shape.
Good work, y'all. Okay, so the knights were next after the rooks because they were the next line of defense. So they were, first you have your walls, then you have your knights. So you'll situate them appropriately right after the rooks. You'll have them on B8 and G8 and C1 and G1. The knights were well armored, and this is what a medieval knight would look like, clad and ready for battle. And in battle, they rode horses, and that was a type of military defense system as well. Because as you know, in a battle, it's very important to take the higher ground. All right, there's your analogy, metaphor for the day. Let's think that way. In a battle, it is important to take the higher ground. And it's a good essential question. It's not ours for this lesson, but I want you to think about why is it important to strategically place yourself high in battle. So let me repeat that question. Why is it important to strategically place yourself high in battle? Think about a bird's eye view. How does a bird's eye view help you see things in a way that you wouldn't normally be able to see it if you were on the level of the foot soldiers? We'll talk about pawns, which represent the foot soldiers, later. So the knights have this advantage that is enabled by the castle walls too, because a lot of times you'll see pictures of knights on top of the walls with their arrows and bows and arrows with the ability to look down, and I'll stop answering the question that I asked. So the knights are the most difficult to understand how they move, but it's like riding a bike. Once you learn, you'll never forget. So we said rooks move in a T. Hold on, what's the next one we did? What was after that?
Knights.
Knights,
Move in a
L.
L. And what was the one, though? I did another one. Rooks move in a T. I hadn't.
No, this is
Not
the
yet?
one.
Okay. All right. I just thought about it. Okay. So knights move in an L. So it's always 2 and 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 1. Or 1 and 2. Okay? So like with this dude, he goes 2 and 1. But you could go 1 and 2, so you go 1 and 2. And you always capture, so let me do that again, like 1 and 2, or 2 and 1. So it could be an alternative, like either way, 2 or 1 or 1 and 2. And it always captures on the last part. And the knight's really cool because it's high up, so it can jump over pieces as well. All right? Then, after the knight, you have the bishop. And the bishop moves in an X. Okay? So, the rook moves in a T. The knight moves in a
L.
and the bishop moves in a X. Now, bishops were really important in the times of the Middle Ages because the life expectancy wasn't so high. People died early, and so people were really close to God, and they were really interested in faith. And so the bishops are important to the king and queen, and they sit right next to them, as you can see in this diagram. On C8, F8, what is it? F1 and C1. Here's a picture of a modern day bishop, but it's like a cardinal wearing clothes that they would have actually worn in the Middle Ages too. And the bishop moves in what type of letter shape?
X.
That's right. They move in an X. Show me with your arms. That's right. They move in an X. Knight moves in a shape of an L on her forehead. That's right. And then rook moves in a
T.
T. T for me. T for 2 and 2 for T. Okay, then a pawn. The pawn moves 2 spaces the first time, then it captures diagonally. Now all these other pieces, you know, the knight captures on the last one that it goes to, but the pawn will capture diagonally. It can never capture just moving straight forward. So they'll run into each other and they can't get each other. But if you think about like an actual pawn, like in battle times, they'd have these, oh, this is not a good picture of it. Let me see if I can, oh, I didn't get a picture of it. Okay. But they'd have shields in front of it. Oh, this is a good pawn picture. He's got the shield in front of it, but he's going to attack diagonally. But if they were to ram up against each other, they would not be able to attack each other, because if you've got your shield in front of you, you're going to attack diagonally. The pawns are all out in front of all the other members of the feudalism system. So the pawns, like I said, they move forward 2 times the first time and then 1 after that, and they attack diagonally. Now something really cool about a pawn is if you get it all the way over to the other side of the board, it can transform into a piece that you have lost. So that pawns can become really powerful. So another cool thing that I want you to think about is you might start out, you know, with just the bare minimum, but if you work hard and you keep going and you don't give up and you do your best, you can rise to the top. Now,
is that like the growth mindset?
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Okay, so we haven't talked about kings and queens yet, but I want you to think about, oh, I think I left out the whole part about queens on this PowerPoint, so I'll just have to tell you a little bit about them. So the queens, they can move any direction they want to for one turn, in as many places as they want to. They could go to the end of the board, but they can only move one direct, like, okay, this time I'm going to move diagonal. I can move as many spaces diagonal as I want. This time I'm going to move up. I'm going to move as many up as I can. I want to. This time I'll move to the left. This time I'm going to move right. I'm going to move as many up to left or right as I can. But the king can only move 1 space. Now the queen is always on her color. She's like a cheerleader. That's why I have these cheerleading girls over here. So see, the white queen will always be on her color, and the actually, that's weird. Yeah, and the black queen will always be on her color. But the king's not going to be on their color. Let's talk about the king some. Now the king is situated, you know, in the middle on the back part of their part only, and they cannot be on their color. So if they're dark, they're on white. If they're light, they're on dark. Here's a good example of a king from mid-century Henry VIII, I believe. But the kings can only move 1 space at a time, and they capture in that same way. Now, there's different types of ways to win chess. Well, there's only one. Checkmate is the way you win chess. There's different ways to get checkmate. And the other way that you play chess is you get the king in check. So check means that you have attacked the king and you have to announce check. You can't just be like checkmate. You have to announce check. No, you're fine. To let them know that they're going to get got if they don't move. You cannot just surprise attack someone and say checkmate. You have to announce checkmate if they're in check, which makes it more of a hardship to get them in checkmate, but that's great. So this is an example of having checkmate because the king cannot move and there's only 1 place for what happens is he's going to get got and then you're going to win. And you say checkmate. Everybody say checkmate.
Checkmate.
All right. That was really long, so we might want to shorten that, but that's the spiel.